But, you know, like I said, it happens, and hopefully some kids can learn from it, but just don't get...
I'm down to dunk.
And I'm down to dunk. I'm down to dunk. This is J-Dub, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Lindy Waters, and I'm down to dunk. I'm Mike Muscala, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Jay Will, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Kenrich Williams, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to dunk.
Will you say this is Lou Dort and I'm down to Dort?
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
Cracklin Oat Bran.
Have you had Cracklin Oat Bran?
No,
No. Okay.
but it's healthy.
Are you a big oat brand guy?
I'm a big Oat Bran guy.
Okay.
I think I would switch it with Fruity Pebbles.
Okay, eat faster. Don't put as much in the bowl.
You have a gallon of milk I can also take home.
You don't have milk at home?
One cinnamon toast.
Okay.
Crunch. Yeah. Cereal is great. Yeah.
Good morning and welcome to episode 1, 3, 2 of Down to Dunk. You can find us on The Athletic and anywhere else you subscribe to your podcast. Go to theathletic.com/down2dunk and get The Athletic for $1 a month for 6 months. I am Luke. Joined this morning by Andrew.
I gotta say, I'm just fired up to be here today. It's pretty cool. Pretty damn cool. Woo!
Slam throw.
Taylor.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
To.
To who?
Actually, it's to whom? I've got 5 on it. Grab your 40. Let's get keyed. I've got 5 on it. Forking with that endo wheat. Slam through.
And Jay.
It's Jay.
That's good.
Thank you.
We don't get that falsetto very often.
No, not very often, but I was pretty sure I've done that song before. So
I don't know if you have.
really,
I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if I believe
I've
that's true.
done thousands of songs at this point.
True.
Tens of thousands. So.
I would say 1,324 songs. If my math is correct.
Not quite.
Really not even close to that. But
No,
I think you're.
I think
it's
I'm right.
more. I think it's more than that.
I bet it's in the double digits.
at least 20.
50?
Yeah, at least 20.
It was good, though.
Thank you.
It was a good version.
Yeah, good job. Okay, so bad news yesterday. The Thunder told everybody that our little boy Alexei Pokushevsky
That's my son.
fractured his humerus bone, and he'll be out for 4 to 6 weeks.
Blow it up. Send the team back to Seattle.
So
I'm done.
Listener at Hippo Dresser, how does the Poku arm injury impact the summer of Poku? Is the summer of Poku canceled?
Poku party's over.
I have seen a lot of reactions to this.
Poku party is over is much different than Poku is over party. So don't worry, we're not having a Poku is over party. He's not canceled, but the party is over.
The summer
Yeah.
of Poku
Yeah.
is canceled.
We're
We're looking forward to the autumn of Poku.
I actually just think people are overreacting to this a little bit. It's 4 to 6 weeks. So if it's 4 weeks, he's back at the beginning of July.
Yeah.
If it's 6 weeks, he's back in the middle of July.
So he still has 3 full months before the season starts.
So that's why I think people are overreacting to this a bit.
What sucks, like if we want to talk about how this really impacts Poku, this is having a broken arm in a cast over the summer
Yeah.
is the worst.
Yeah.
It's
True.
hot.
Your arm hairs get really long.
It's gonna stink
wispy.
underneath that cast.
The cast
Stinky.
is going to stink. You're going to have
Wispy arm hairs like cow udder hairs.
Right. They just start creeping out like plants growing towards the sun.
Sick.
That's what we're all worried about.
very.
Here's the thing. I'm going to be a truth teller right now.
Oh,
Poku sucks, and he's a meme player right now.
A meme
Wow.
player?
He's a meme.
Oh, I
player.
thought you said a mean player. I
He's
was
just a meme on our team. He's not any good. This doesn't really matter
wow.
until he's good.
he actually had stretches before he broke his leg where he was pretty good for the Thunder.
Yeah, the team was not very good with him, though.
Oh, so Jay actually agrees with Luke.
No.
Don't ruin Jay's reputation.
Don't you dare.
Raise jeputation.
That's pretty good.
I know.
Yeah, I mean the on-off numbers are not good. Individually, though, it's hard to ignore that he did get better from where he
Yeah.
was the year before.
And then after the injury, he just
I
never
mean, he
found
played
it
like
again.
20 minutes after the injury.
and then got re-injured. So the question we really need to ask is, does Poku have an injury problem
I mean, he's injured, so yes.
all the time?
I mean, he's not injured
All the time.
He's not injured all
In the
the
last
time.
4 months, he's more injured than not injured.
Sure.
In the last 6 months, more injured than not injured.
Uh-huh. He's just building his case.
That was the extent of it.
Sure.
He's a mean player.
Meme.
He's a mean guy.
Just a mean guy.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that Poku is like definitely like in the future of the Thunder. Like, I think it's more likely that he's not. But I also just
50-50.
I also just don't want to be. I just also don't want to overreact to this moment in time and say like this is over for him. Like, he's going to be he'll be fine by training camp.
Are you legitimately getting that? Are people like, oh, I guess that question is this the end of summer of Poku?
I mean, that is like I've gotten way more harsh messages from many fans about this. It's like, listen, at worst, he'll be back in the middle of July and be back on his workout regimen. I mean, these guys will likely go on vacation for like 3 or 4 weeks in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mhm.
all these guys do. And
Or
so like
back home,
this will be his vacation time.
which
Then-
that's what I'm saying.
then
I
he'll
just
get-
feel bad for Poku.
Then he'll get back on the grind. And I think
Autumn of Poku.
he'll be fine. I just don't.
Can we also just address the fact that, like, so Chet
So Chet.
Holmgren,
Yeah.
number 2 draft pick,
Yeah.
2022 NBA draft, Oklahoma City Thunder, played
Yeah.
Gonzaga from Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Just in case you didn't know who he was,
Cross Steph Curry at his own
crossed
camp.
him up.
Yeah.
He was like an 8th grader.
Yeah.
Got killed by Kenny Lofton in summer league.
Why?
Okay, man.
Okay.
I just want to describe him.
He's the thickest, man. So, but last year he had a foot injury that kept him on a scooter for 8 weeks, if not longer, on crutches for another few weeks,
Mm-hmm.
limited weight bearing. The thing that is important is, and we've said this before on this podcast, these NBA players do not recover from injuries like you do or I do. It's not like it's like cast it up and we'll see you in 6 weeks and maybe we'll take it off. It's like every single day they have some sort of regiment for him to be working through,
Mm-hmm.
right? He's probably or maybe hired some sort of coach. So it's like your arm's broken, so he can still move around. He can still, I mean, he could work on his other hand.
Yeah.
He can,
Yeah.
there are options for, it's not like he's broke his arm and he's like, well, just going to sit on the couch for the next 6 weeks and hope
Right.
I'm ready when I come back. Like, he's still going to maintain some of those things he's already been working on.
Yeah. Chet was shooting literally
on a scooter
the entire year.
The problem with Poku is he needs to be filling out the top half of his body. And
It's
that's
true.
that's the stuff he's not going to be able to do. Listen,
or just one-handed push-ups.
You think he's going to come back with just like one really strong arm?
Like that movie.
Yeah.
What's the movie? That
Is
might be
it
a
Lady
problem.
in the Water? It's
Yeah.
an M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, it is exactly
Yeah.
what it is.
Where the one guy has the one big arm.
Yeah, I think that's what Poku will be.
I thought he was gonna like focus too much on leg stuff, butt stuff, and you don't want the butt to get much bigger. It's
Are
gonna
you
start
kidding?
to throw off his.
Are you
He's got to
joking?
get proportional.
Oh,
though.
he's got a dump. He's got a dumpy.
He
a
needs.
well documented donkey.
I think if Poku's going to make it, I don't think it has to do with his upper body strength at
It's
all.
got to be his butt.
I think that it's to do with his lower
Singularly
body.
on his butt.
Seriously though, like his biggest problem is like he can get moved off of his spot like that. Like no one has to worry about it. Like he doesn't have like is his lower body stronger than his upper body? Yes.
Yes.
Is it strong enough to be a big man in the NBA? No.
Hmm.
And so I do think that he still needs to get stronger with his base in order to make it in the NBA.
Okay, so this summer, what you're saying, this is what you are saying, is in the workout room, he has pictures of Kyle Lowry posted all over the room as inspiration.
Honestly,
That's who you
that
want.
might be one of the best things possible for him.
Wow.
Is if he could have the Lowry donkey
Yeah.
plus the Lowry mentality.
Wow.
If he had those two things,
Quite the development.
he would.
I think those two things they do come together.
He would.
What's wrong with you guys? You guys watch the Nuggets play last night?
Oh yeah, there was a finals game.
Yes,
I
sir.
did. Yeah,
Oh,
it was
thank
great.
God,
It was
Jay. Right on time.
I mean, the Nuggets made it look real easy. Real easy.
It's because they are
beat that Heat
a
team.
dramatically superior team.
Do you think it's going to be a sweep?
I predicted that, but that's more of my, hot takedness.
Yeah.
Be
I think it'll be a gentleman's sweep,
gentleman's sweep.
maybe to 6, but
I was gonna say 5 or 6 is more likely than a sweep especially in the finals.
I want to see how they play in Miami.
Yeah,
The
I do
Nuggets.
too.
it's just hard because I watched
I just want to see Jokic with like the fattest sunburn ever.
I watched the Nuggets go into LA. I mean, the Lakers didn't play. I mean, they were okay in that series, whatever, but
Yeah.
they had just gone through. Did that word come out correctly?
It did.
They
somehow.
had just gone through the Warriors. Like it wasn't like they were some throwaway team.
Yeah.
And they
No,
just
they're
went
the best defense post All-Star.
and they just went into the crypto arena and just didn't. I mean, it didn't even remotely impact the way they wanted to play. Like I just think
Kryptonite.
they're. And I know this is an overreaction, probably in some sense, but they are just so flawless.
They're good.
Their starting
Yeah.
5 is flawless. KCP, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, MPJ, MJP,
MJP.
but and Jokic. Like they just every single one of those positions, but they've got a little bit of that Warriors like mentality where it's not let me get mine, you get yours, where you see a lot of these teams default into. But it's like they just do a great job, and you just see it because their leader is incredibly selfless by nature.
Yeah. That's where it starts with the Warriors, and that's where it starts with the Nuggets. It's like
Like
it's
Jokic
all
could
top
score.
down stuff.
Jokic could score on the post 40 points in each one of these games
I think he begrudgingly shot 12 times last night.
because he was just finding. Like there was one play they played over and over again in the second quarter where he had position. I think he was actually posting up Jimmy Butler, and somebody came over to double. And you can't honestly can't defend
Yeah.
Jokic
Yeah.
because if you double him, he's going to find the open man.
yes.
If you guard him with one person, he is maybe the best low post scorer in the NBA, if not Embiid and him.
Yeah.
Like it's just watching him play. It's like he has become the best player in the NBA and unguardable.
It's weird. You watch him and you're like, does he even make mistakes? It's okay, he's gonna miss shots. Of course, he's gonna miss
Highest
shots.
processing player in the game.
He's got to be like
He's
it's
7 foot tall
insane.
and 290 pounds.
Yeah. Made of pure Play-Doh.
But it really is like, and I know like there's going to be casual fans that aren't watching this series because it's not the glamorous teams from LA, Boston, whatever. But man, if you're a basketball fan, watching this Nuggets team is like art.
They're awesome. They're legitimately awesome. And this is why, like, I think last week we were kind of talking about like the potential of them being a great team for a long time. Like they have the pieces there to do it. You know, you have Jokic, who's in his 20s. You have Jamal Murray, who's in his 20s. Like those guys, those two are going to be really good for a long time.
Yeah. I don't think it's a trend enough, but you do have to. Jamal Murray, one reconstruction of his knee, took a year and a half to come back from it to be fully. Hopefully, he's going to be fine for the rest of his career as an NBA fan.
Yeah,
but you know that's the kind of stuff that derails these dynasties. But not to mention, like I do think that they, and I don't know what this looks like, but you look at Bruce Brown and you look at KCP, like. Those are just simple additions, though, that really made this team to this level, like put this team to the level that they're currently playing in. And those are the pieces that you don't always get to replace those with the exact right fit. But as long as you have Jokic, as long as you have Murray, you can build a championship team.
They're also not so good that you can't replace them.
That's what I was going to say. It's like you can find guys like KCP. KCP
definitely.
is not like some one-of-a-kind 3-and-D player. Like he's a good player, but there are a lot of 3-and-D guys that could play that spot.
So here's my only counter argument. KCP is one part of this, but Bruce Brown is the part that he kind of did this with the Nets as well. He's a culture builder for a team. He's kind of got that PJ Tucker vibe to him. I think he's a better, I think he's a better shooter, but probably better overall offensive player. But he has that kind of mentality that just raises the level of grittiness of a team.
He brings some tood to the floor.
Yeah, brings a little tood to the floor.
He brings those toots.
And so those are the people that I'm like, you don't just replace. Like I think because I was listening to somebody else. Is he a free agent this summer?
I don't know what his.
I'll look it up while y'all are talking about that.
I mean, I think it's really just. I think that we can get in the weeds though on role players, and like the truth is, it's just all about Jokic and Murray.
Yeah,
and there's so many kinds of players that can fit around those two that you can replenish and figure out how to make it work. If like Bruce Brown is going to get overpaid by somebody, God bless him.
He's got a player option that he's not going to take for next year.
Yeah.
It's a $6.8 million player option.
Yeah. He's not going to take that. Somebody's going to pay him 15.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if it's the Nuggets, great. If it's not, I am not that worried about this team.
I get it, but I do think that this is my only argument that I'm trying to make is I think those guys, the additions they made is what changed their ceiling. They were already going to be competing for championships. They've been in Western Conference Finals. They're already doing that.
Yeah.
But I think what has made them, and the counter argument I'll give you as well, but what has taken them to this other level that they're in right now, where they're clearly the best team in the NBA, and they have been all season, is I think these peripheral pieces that have been just perfectly crafted for this team.
They're really good. I just think what really has changed them is that they're healthy.
For sure.
Because they've been playing without Jamal Murray and MJP.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have MPJ, I know I'm joking.
I can't remember what the real one is now.
And they've had those three healthy
Michael
all
Jordan
season.
Peterson.
Yeah.
They've had all those guys healthy all season. And I know that those role players are really good. I just think that they could have plugged in two other like 3-and-D guys and would have I don't think it's going to change the outcome all that much. Because it's really just all about Jokic.
Jokic, I think, didn't take his second field goal attempt until it was either the very end of the first quarter or the second quarter.
Yeah.
And he had 10 assists at half. I think he had 8 assists 2 minutes into the second quarter.
Yeah.
So
controlling the game completely.
Yeah. I mean, he controls the game without shooting. He controls the gravity of everything. As long as you have players that can defend and shoot around him, I think you're good to go. Mm-hmm. And I do think that KCP and Bruce Brown were the right guys to bring in, certainly. And you need those kind of guys. Like if you don't have those two guys and you're having to play Christian Brown more minutes or something, like it's
Uncle Jeff.
you definitely don't
Or Reggie
sweep.
Jackson.
You definitely don't sweep. Yes, if you have to play Reggie, you definitely don't sweep the Lakers.
Yeah,
Do they
no
still
way.
beat the Lakers in like 6? Probably, but they're not dominant like they are.
You're
right now.
actually you're giving my argument more credence.
I'm trying to
Because-
give a little bit back to you, Jay,
because the
because
thing-
that was probably a little unfair.
So this is what I would just say to you. Why didn't other team, like if it's this easy to plug and play guys,
it's not for other teams. It's not
Look,
But-
KCP
because
hasn't
it's
worked
about-
out like
okay,
this.
there
because
you
it's
go.
about
there you
Jokic.
go. There you go. There you go.
because like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, good player, but you put him on Washington, and they're like, this dude's not that good.
Yeah.
Why? Because they don't have a player anywhere close to Jokic's caliber.
But you put him on the year before, like he's playing for the Lakers and he's this guy.
yeah, he helps them win a
Because
title
they
in
have
2020. Yeah.
But that's my only thing is you're like the Lakers would have killed to have had KCP and Bruce Brown this year. And it
Yeah.
changes their entire
And it's because
teams.
they have LeBron.
Mhm.
fair. I think that's
LeBron,
fair.
Steph, and Jokic are probably the. Are they the only 3 players right now in the league that like can pull the
that are
most
so
out of all their
gravitational
Well, it's the
and
sa-
so
well,
selfless.
It's
Yeah.
the same thing with like Gary Payton in Golden State.
Yeah.
Like a lot of it was he was hurt, but do we really believe that he was going to help lift the Blazers
No.
to new heights? Like he was a very replaceable player for them,
Yeah.
and would have been for anybody else. And maybe if like Gary Payton was on the Nuggets, we'd be talking about him. Like, oh my gosh, look what he's done to help the Nuggets. I mean, I just think like those kind of guys, when you put those kind of like winning basketball players with these generational talents, they're just going to shine. It's like Bruce Bowen for the Spurs. Like if Bruce Bowen was on just any rando team, no one would ever talk about him ever. Like he's the most just blah player ever. Like good defender, good corner shooter, who cares? But because he played for those Spurs teams with Tim Duncan, it's like, oh man, remember Bruce Bowen? He's like becomes one of those like, hey, remember that guy?
Just like Boobie Gibson.
Like Boobie Gibson would have been nothing if he didn't play with LeBron.
The Bruce Bowen one. What, are you joking about? Okay, I'm like, all right.
He was,
good.
I mean, he legitimately had a moment in the NBA.
He had a moment. Mo Williams.
But they didn't win a championship. They never played at this level. Like
yeah.
Daniel Gibson didn't get multiple
But it's
contracts.
just like
Boobie Gibson
the
was
play-
in the league for as long as he was because he played with LeBron.
the players like Jokic and LeBron just take
Yes,
these other players
I
and they
concur
just
with all of
elevate
that.
their
The only-
status.
Once again, the
Boobie
only thing
Gibson.
I would say about Bruce Brown in particular is he was doing exactly this, and you saw it.
Yeah.
The Nets, and not directly the correlation, but they were a different team when he was there, and then when they got rid of him.
The Nets?
Yes,
Well, I mean, they're a completely different team just altogether.
I know, not directly correlated, but he was doing this for those Nets teams that were competing on a high level as well.
Yeah, he's a good player.
He's a good player. That's all I'm saying. And I think he's and this is why I wonder if they'll try to figure out how to keep this current kind of roster.
I mean, they're definitely gonna try to. And if they win the title,
I just don't know what Bruce Brown can get and where would he go? Like, would I rather stay there for $10 million for 5 years or whatever?
right? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what
It is
will
Denver. It's a
offer.
cool city.
Yeah, very cool.
What if your name was
Very cool.
Very cool. What would you do if your name was Booby?
Yeah, it's
Like-
actually Daniel. I don't know why his nickname's Boobie.
What if your nickname was
He had
Booby?
blue feet, maybe.
Booby. I don't know.
What if
what if we just start calling you Booby?
Jay? What if we called you Booby Smith?
Not a fan.
What
Well,
about
one of us is already called Boobs here.
not
that's
really,
true.
No, but not really. Booby Dickerson.
Mm.
Okay, we have a
Dick
Twitter
Donut
question from
situation.
@MeLoveThundamo that kind of links the Thunder with the Nuggets and how we can keep this Nuggets conversation going. You want to read it to me, Elman?
Yes, it comes from @Thundamo. Me love Thundamo.
My boy Thundamo.
Says, talk through the Denver roster build up as it relates to the Thunder roster build. Draft players, patience, etc. When did they finally, quote, push the button? What does it cost them asset-wise when they did push the button?
So this is it's very interesting to look back through the history of the Nuggets, because the year they drafted Nikola Jokic 41st was 2014. 9 years ago is when they acquired Nikola Jokic. And it's a great testament to the patience of their franchise. Some of it was that they didn't know what they had in him for a minute. But if you look at it, like the 15-16 season was his first year with them. And people act like he was like some like backup bench pick. I mean, he played the fourth most minutes his first year with them.
Well, they were playing him and Nurk. They were trying to play him and Nurk together.
Nurk only played 800 minutes that season.
Did they trade him that season?
No. They didn't trade
hurt?
Nurk until 2017.
Okay.
So like they did try. They were trying to figure out what they had in both those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Their first like couple seasons, but Nurk was way more of a bit player than people remember. And Jokic was like always. I mean, Jokic's first two seasons, he's playing over 2,000 minutes both seasons.
Wow.
And so I think that storyline is a little bit overblown, like looking back at it. Like Nurk was always clearly the guy that was going to be like the backup. And then I just think that there were attitude things that happened with them. But 2014, they drafted Nurkic 14th, Gary Harris 19th, Jokic 41st. He didn't play that next year, but then they got the 7th pick in that next draft, and they drafted Emmanuel Mudiay. And they played Mudiay a ton in that season. And so that was their team. They'd figured out pretty quickly that Mudiay was not the guy. They drafted Jamal Murray in 2016 at 7th. They drafted Juancho Hernan-Gomez at 15, Malik Beasley at 19. And then at the trade deadline that season, they traded Nurk. And this is where I think it's interesting. And this is where we can get caught in the weeds sometimes with trades and like, did we win or lose a trade? They traded Nurkic and a first rounder to get Mason Plumlee and a second rounder. Like, bad trade, terrible trade. There's really nothing good about that trade for them. Plumlee's fine. Like, he's a very like replaceable backup big. Like, he's just a rando guy. And they traded a first rounder and Nurkic, who's like a good starting center. But it didn't matter because ultimately they had Jamal Murray and Jokic. And, they drafted Tyler Lydon 24th in 2017 draft. Like, that's a throwaway. They did get Michael Porter Jr. and Jared Vanderbilt in the 2018 draft.
And by the way,
next
this whole
year.
time, everyone thought Gary Harris was like the second best player on.
Yeah, I mean, the guys that are playing, like in 2017, where they've had Jokic for a few years, their top like 8 guys in their rotation: Jokic, Murray, Monte Morris, Paul Millsap, Malik Beasley, Mason Plumlee, Gary Harris, Torrey Craig. Those are their guys. And then like Will Barton plays a ton, Trey Lyles plays a ton. And within this, they also made 2 huge mistakes as well, is trading the pick that became Donovan Mitchell and trading the pick that became Rudy Gobert. They traded the pick for Rudy Gobert for cash. And then they traded that pick that became Donovan Mitchell essentially for Trey Lyles.
I don't think a team would ever trade a first round pick for cash today.
It just doesn't happen hardly ever. Yeah. Back then it was definitely more of a thing. It's just way more scrutinized today. But it was like the 29th pick, I think. And so the owner was probably like, yeah, I would rather have $3 million than you take some guy that I think is not going to be good. And then it ends up being like this all-star level big man. Not that he would have worked with Jokic anyways. But
Speaking of Gobert, did you guys see that story that Jamal Murray was telling? He was talking about, I think we saw it before. He was talking about Rudy Gobert guarding Jokic. And he was like, I got him. And he said, Jokic turned around and goes, brother, I already have 47.
That's so awesome. But even like you look at 2019, which they were a really good team. Their top 8 players in minutes played in 2019: Jokic, Porter Jr., Will Barton, Jamal Murray, Fukando Campazzo, Monte Morris, Paul Millsap, JaMychal Green. Like, that wasn't that long ago, and the roster has changed so much.
Oh, Campazzo was magic, man. It was kind of awesome having Campazzo and Jokic on the same team because they were both just doing it was just insane pass after insane pass the whole time.
Yeah, they were fun. Campazzo's he's just, again, like some rando European player that came over for a season, played fine. They're like, okay, we're done. That's fine.
Yeah.
They didn't trade for Aaron Gordon until 2021. And what they had to give up was Gary Harris, which is like a good rotation player, rookie RJ Hampton, who was like a mystery box athlete, like who knows what he could be, and then a first round pick. And they brought in Aaron Gordon.
A 2025 protected first round pick.
Yeah.
Which will convey. It'll be 26.
Yeah. It'll be, if not like the 30th pick. So they didn't have to give up that much to get that next piece.
That was the biggest move.
That's their biggest acquisition. Then obviously you have the trade to get Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. You have the free agent signing of Bruce Brown, like to complete this team. But the cast of characters around Jokic and Murray, even in the bubble, was just like hardly any of those guys outside of Jamal Murray, MPJ, and Jokic are still on the team. You know, PJ Dozier was like a guy for them.
Yeah.
You know, that people thought was going to be like some great piece for them, gets injured. It's unfortunate for him, but it's like he's replaceable. And so, but it took an incredible amount of patience with this roster and with these guys to not trade Jamal Murray for Kawhi or trade Jamal Murray for Bradley Beal or somebody, you know, through the years where you're just like, man, can this guy ever get healthy? What are we going to do? It took 9 years of having Jokic as a part of your team before you reached this point. Like, it takes time. And like and their ability to win came with experience, continuity, and age too. And that's like something we have to remember, like with this Thunder team, as we start to enter these years of like them being competitive, is that it takes time. And right now it looks like, oh my gosh, the Nuggets are the most dominant team ever. People didn't think that even like 5 weeks ago.
Right. I mean, I think it was still the first round and people were like, I mean, even I was kind of like, well, I mean, let's see what the Nuggets can do. They've just never been able to put it together like this.
They had to prove it.
Yeah.
That was the key. It wasn't the fact that they were a dominant regular season team this year. They've been good in the past. That's the other thing too, though, is in the bubble, they were incredible.
Yeah.
Which is one of those times that we look back on. But it took random kind of minor moves and then one major move to make this roster what it was. Like,
yeah.
So they traded to get KCP this offseason, they traded Monte Morris and Will Barton.
Yeah.
It's like Will Barton ended up getting waived at the end of the season. Is Monte Morris a piece that Washington's excited about?
He's a backup point guard, you know, a good one.
Yeah.
But not a start. I mean, I think they discovered that through this year that this backup point guard is a backup point guard and not our starting point guard. Like, he's the 31st best point guard in the league.
Yeah.
Like, he should not be our starting point guard.
That's why they need to draft Anthony Black, but
they should.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think that, and this is more of a question than it is kind of some sort of definitive statement. How much of this is also, and I know it feels like I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth, but how much of this is also resultant of the reality that the Western Conference was an easier path this year than it has been in the last 7 years?
I mean, it's certainly a piece of the puzzle. Definitely. I don't think that you can ignore that.
I mean, we've been talking about is how wide open the NBA is across the board, and that's what we're seeing.
Yeah.
Like, that's my only reason to be down on the Heat in this run is I get it, man. This is a historic run for a team that was a play-in team.
Yeah.
Yet, at the same time, as every series, you can pinpoint some specific things that made it to where, I mean, in hindsight, Giannis missed 2 games.
Yeah.
In that first series. Does that change the whole pathway of the Heat, of the change the whole Eastern Conference. The Bucks were also not really who they could have been most of the season because
Right.
of injuries, because of age, because of all of that.
Yep.
You go to the Knicks, and everybody knew the Knicks were a fun story, but they knew they weren't ready for this.
Many people pick the Knicks.
We picked.
I
the
picked the
Knicks.
Knicks.
We picked the Knicks.
I understand that, and I am not trying to belittle, and I know it feels this way, and it's probably is this way, but that's the reason I'm more hyped about the Nuggets. Is I watched even the Celtics, where I'm just like, they just had such a mental weakness to them
They were so frustrating.
that I just was like, it's an impressive win because it's Eastern Conference 3-0, all of those different things. But in the end, is I was like, they haven't played and beaten a team that's as complete and as elite as this Nuggets team.
Yeah. Well, that's why. Well, I was kind of hoping that the Celtics would make it through, just because I think talent for talent,
Mhm.
like it's the closest thing in the NBA today, probably, to what the Nuggets have.
I just still think that after watching the Celtics, I think the Nuggets win that in the same amount of games it'll take them to beat the Heat.
I think it's possible. The Celtics can get to a level that the Heat can't get to,
Mhm.
and it's just talent based alone. But like mentally, the Heat had it. That's why the Heat won. Is because mentally they're just a stronger team.
And identity. They know exactly. The Nuggets and the Heat. Both teams know exactly who the guy is, who the second guy is, who the third guy. Like everyone that's on the court, they know what the role is, and they know what the identity is, and they know how they're going to play.
Yeah,
I think the more
There's no confusion. For
Yeah.
the Celtics, there could
Yeah.
be some confusion.
could
you
be.
know, there was a lot of confusion.
And what was it? I saw some interview where Caleb Martin was saying, hey, it was kind of the strategy in game 7 is to force Jaylen Brown to go to his left. And Caleb Martin goes, that's the strategy anytime we play Jaylen
every
Brown.
time. Yeah.
I think that's, for me, as far as conversations that are fun to have, what the Miami Heat look like next year is what I've been the most intrigued by.
Really?
I don't know why. I mean,
Tell me why.
The amount of guys that they're getting incredible contributions from that they're paying nothing.
Yeah.
That are, well, and for Strus and for Gabe Vincent, they're also coming up. Like they're free agents this summer.
Yeah.
So who do they look like next year? And I know Heat culture and insert all of the words that we throw out about Eric Spoelstra and all of those different things, which are all valid.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're going to be back to Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, and
if those guys leave.
I just think, I don't know. And I know Hero's trying to make his way back to game 2, maybe game 3, which who knows what that does to ultimately impact this series.
Yeah.
But
if they're down 0-2, I think you're just like, okay,
Caleb Martin,
let's try it.
I mean, I don't know. What's Caleb Martin's contract?
He's got a couple years
A couple
left.
more years.
Yeah.
But I watched that team and I'm like, and Kyle Lowry, like they just got a lot of money.
Yeah.
In guys that aren't really who they're depending on to lead this team this year.
Yeah.
They always rebuild. They always replenish.
Yeah, they'll
because
figure. I mean, they got the 18th pick in this draft, so if they can find somebody useful there. I mean, I don't know. I think Gabe Vincent's a good player. I think he would be the one that I would want to bring back. Strus, I think, is replaceable.
Well, Strus and Duncan Robinson have just been replacing each other the entire time they've been there.
Yeah. I think Duncan Robinson has definitely redeemed himself.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways.
He's been a lot better the last couple.
Where
series.
if you
But
bring back,
it ultimately complicates things for them, though.
Yeah,
like
I mean, that's where I would just let Strus go, and then you just
for sure. But it was trending towards them trying to find somebody to take on Duncan Robinson's contract this offseason.
Yeah, definitely.
Like
And
Duncan Robinson's making 18 next year, 19 the year after that, and then is it a player option for 19-8? Yeah, he's got a player option in 2025, 2026.
Yeah,
which is going to take.
And as the cap increases, that will become
less
of a, and especially if he can play, and that'll be the thing. Is like, do they play him in the regular season next year? Which they just didn't play him in the regular season this year.
Mm-hmm.
And if they, and I know that Duncan's been like super frustrated with his situation there. And so he may request a trade anyways and just be like, hey, get me out of here because I don't know what you guys are going to do with me, during the season. Like he culture is really good for the guys that it works for, but it's not very good for the guys that it doesn't work for. And so like you just wonder if somebody like that would like to move on. But it's as far as like the team building and how it relates to the Thunder, I think it's just like reemphasizes like the patience portion of it. It's like, let this play out. Like, don't jump to like, this guy needs to be traded. This guy needs to be this. If you have really good players, just allow it to just work and not rush it and feel like they should be here, they should be there. And certainly, I think obviously one of the best and worst things to happen to this current iteration of the Thunder is the first iteration of the Thunder being so successful as fast as they were. Because you go from 20 wins to 50 wins. You go from the first round to the finals. It's like, boy, okay.
Yeah.
All we can do now is win the championship to
Mhm.
get further than we have, and then they could never get there. And then you get to the end of it, and it feels like, man, I can't believe we didn't do it. But a lot of it was like the expectations were placed at championship in basically like year 3 of that iteration, where it was just like, man, are we going to have a dynasty here? Like, they're going to win more than one title probably. And so with this current Thunder team, I just think that it's going to take time. They've got really good players. If Shea or if Chet or somebody can get to not that they have to be as good as Jokic, but get to like a top 5 level, which is like what you need to win a title, then I think the Thunder have like every asset, and they have the flexibility. They have everything at their disposal to make it happen this time around. Whereas like last time around, they didn't have as much to work with. And so I'm just really intrigued to see what they do. Because I mean, they could.
And you have a seasoned Sam Presti.
Yes,
Like he's a different GM than he was when he created that.
definitely.
Team. Yeah. And I think that what are the lessons that he learned? I think what are the things that he's going to do differently? We're already seeing that some of in that Thunder guy that he's drafting, which I can parse that a little bit more. But I think the other thing for this Thunder team that you guys alluded to and we've talked about in the past and we'll continue to kind of discuss is the Nuggets thought Gary Harris was going to be a critical piece of their future.
Yeah.
And he's the piece that was moved to get what they needed to fully complete this team. And RJ Hampton was another guy they drafted, right? Like,
Yeah.
I know he never really showed what he could be there. And now I don't even think he's in the NBA anymore.
Mm-mm.
But he's another one of those guys. Like, if you were to take that and put that on the Thunder, like that imprint, you're looking at the fact like Giddey and the 2023 NBA draft pick for the Thunder get moved for the piece. I know it's not apples to apples, but gets moved for the piece that completes this roster.
Yeah, I mean, Harris was like a mid first round pick.
Yes, I know. And that's what I'm saying. It's not exactly that.
Like Murray, like Giddey is more. I think Giddey's closer to Murray than he is Harris.
But I think that's a good point. And if you're a Nuggets fan back then,
mm-hmm.
you're thinking when we go through like, okay, who are our guys right now that are the the foundation of this team that we're going to build around, and we name 4 or 5 guys.
Yeah.
Nuggets fans were doing that, and Gary Harris was included in those conversations.
Yeah,
back then.
Jokic and Murray were, I mean, have been like the guys for a long time though. Like they have been like their duo for many years. And that's the thing is like the role players just kind of don't matter that much through the years. As long as you can find the right guys whenever it's time. Like hanging on like tightly to these role players is just not as important. Like it's just way more important that you find the guys. And if you find the guys, like if Shea and Chet and Giddey and J-Dub, and that's the other thing is that the Thunder have just done such a better job of drafting. Because when they had that 7th pick with Emmanuel Mudiay, I mean, they had a chance to really move their franchise forward. And part of why it's taken a lot longer for them is that in 2015, they took Emmanuel Mudiay at 7, and that draft stunk. But like they could have taken Devin Booker, or they could have taken somebody that like even Miles Turner, or somebody that's just good. Whereas Mudiay was just really bad. That area of the draft was so bad that year.
So Stanley Johnson.
So from 5 to 10, Mario Hazonia, Willie Cauley-Stein, Emmanuel Mudiay, Stanley Johnson, Frank Kaminsky, Justice Winslow.
Mario Hazonia. That was like the hot name of that draft.
Yeah. It's just a gross area of the
Back
draft.
in
And
Europe.
And then you get to
Yeah.
11, 12, 13, Miles Turner, Trey Lyles, Devin Booker. All
The
still in
sweet spot.
the sweet spot.
There's
And then-
always a sweet spot. Every single draft right there is the sweet spot.
Don't trade up. Don't do it.
Don't trade up. You're going to get a good player. If you're picking 12, it's better than the 7th pick.
People were talking about Justice Winslow and Stanley Johnson as
Yeah.
if they were going to be game-changing small forwards that year.
They
You know,
weren't.
You just don't know.
All three of those guys right there, Miles Turner, Trey Lyles, and Devin Booker.
Yeah.
Devin
Devin
14.
Devin Booker.
Devin Booker. And Cameron Payne, well, that's right outside the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Still in the NBA.
Yeah.
He's still in the league.
He is.
He's doing more than Emmanuel Mudiay.
That's true. Well, that's true. More than Mario Hazonia.
More than Mario Hazonia. Ooh. Yeah. Anyways, it's an interesting conversation. Their rebuild, that's the thing, is like every rebuild is going to look different. Every team has a different path. But like the consistent message within it is if you have a top 5 player, it is really hard to screw it up
Yeah.
because they messed up multiple draft picks. They messed up multiple trades. They had the chance to have Donovan Mitchell on this team and screwed that up. And yet, I mean, you think about all the mistakes that were made through the years, and they have piled up like a ton of mistakes. And yet we are still here with them in the NBA Finals because they have Jamal Murray and they have Jokic. And like, that's what matters.
Jeff Green.
And Jeff Green.
Do you think it's because they let Tim Connolly go?
They finally were able to break through. Calvin Booth has done a good job.
Yep.
He's done a really good job. And you have to give both those guys credit, but like you can have a massive amount of mistakes and still get there because like the superstar, like the super duper star can cover a mountain of mistakes for a GM. And he has.
It's all
for
true.
them. All right. Do we want to go to Tayshawn's factoid?
Yeah.
Victory.
Tayshawn's factoid bigger in victory. Tayshawn's factoid bigger in victory.
Tyson is my favorite Bob Myers is gone.
He's out of here.
He's out of here. He said it's time. What do we think that's about? Do you think he has a better job, or do you think he's really like, I'm so over Draymond Green, I'm leaving?
I think he's over ownership.
Yeah. Even in that press conference,
It was so awkward.
so awkward. What's the owner's name? I'm having a brain fart.
I am too.
What the hell? What's his name?
I don't know.
Light years.
Joe Lacob.
Joe, like,
Yeah, Joe Lacob. He was like, it doesn't make any sense to me, but he's like, I don't understand
it
it.
was the most awkward press conference ever. It was hilarious. If you haven't watched it, you should go watch it because there were so many moments where he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to keep you around through, the end of July or whatever," and Bob's like looking at people off stage, just like, "What? Like that's not
what
what's happening right now."
Yeah, Lacob's an insane person.
It's
It's pretty clear that like Bob Myers and Steve Kerr together are like the reason this front office and this team has been able to do this. And Bob Myers, it seems like he's a really good politician because Joe Lacob seems insane. So
Yeah.
if he's able to communicate with Lacob and get what the team needs and push Lacob to do whatever it takes to get the team to where it has gotten,
yeah.
then I mean that's why.
I mean, Marcus Thompson has reported that it is Bob Myers and Bob Myers alone that dealt with ownership.
Oh,
It was not anybody else in the front office. It was not anybody on the coaching staff. It was not any of the players. It was Bob Myers alone that dealt with all the crap coming from ownership. As far as like steering the ship, it wasn't a team of people. It was Bob Myers, and so like removing him is a huge deal because of that.
Yeah. Is it kind of the same with the Thunder right now? Like I know Presti. I don't know.
What do you mean?
What you guys know? I mean, like, not that ownership is insane. Obviously, they're
Okay.
not out front like
Yeah,
Lacob is.
yeah.
But Is it like Sam Presti has these very personal relationships with ownership and that's like the only person that's dealing with them? Or is there more of a team?
I just don't think that the ownership group is as like, hey, this is what you should do, or hey, I have my scouting report on
Or,
Taylor
hey,
Taylor Hendricks.
I'm actually the owner of this team. Did you know that? And like
I
out.
think it's a very different dynamic where like Joe Lacob truly believes that he's one of the smartest men on the face of the earth right now.
Mhm.
And I just don't think that Clay Bennett is walking around saying like, I know basketball. No, I think he trusts like basketball ops.
hired Sam Presti
to handle
20 years ago,
Yeah.
whatever it was.
They
Like,
they trust Sam and his team to be the basketball ops and to do it, and they don't worry about it. Joe Lacob like legitimately watches Coach Spins on YouTube and is like, I think I know what to do with these guys, in the draft.
it's oddly one of my favorite dynamics in the NBA that makes it even more dramatic. And it's is really all professional sports is the ownership is so critical to a team's success.
So important. Yeah.
And that's why like Thunder fans, I think you can put Clay Bennett and the ownership team as much as the reason that this franchise is going to be successful for decades to come.
Yeah.
Because they know their role.
Yeah. Especially through a rebuild like this where we're seeing it
easy to push in.
We're seeing it in Houston right now where the owner's like, all right, that's enough. That's enough.
Yeah.
We have cap space. We have assets. Change it now. And they've been broadcasting that to the entire league all season. Like, yeah, we suck right now, but just wait till next season
And we're
because
we're just slightly better and far more expensive.
right. Yeah, exactly. Where you would never hear anything. You don't even hear anything about like what the Thunder are going to do because it all gets to be decided by Sam.
Mm-hmm.
And someday that might change where the ownership is like, okay, all right, here's what we should do. And Sam has to comply because that's the boss, like the ultimate boss.
Is the culture of this team, like it's so set in stone.
It would be a complete culture shift.
Total culture
do
shift for all of a sudden having an owner jumping in. Like, if it wasn't for the Seattle move and all of that, he would be in the running for the least known NBA owner in the league.
Yeah, people wouldn't know his name if not for
That
him
whole thing.
buying the team and moving them here. Yeah, without a doubt. I think that's right.
So what do the Warriors look like, Taylor? Like what happens?
What's your question? What's your victory?
My question is, have you guys ever had a crazy boss that you've had to like just figure out how to be a politician with to make your job something that you can do?
Sure.
All right. Well, okay. Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
I would be open to the stories.
Hey, it's time to get advice from me.
Yeah, Dusty Gilpin.
It's my advice.
Dusty Gilpin.
Now, this week, someone's looking for advice on when they should get their life together.
Oh, okay.
They said they are 24. They do not budget, but they do pretty well for a 24-year-old. And they mentioned how much. I'm not including their name because I'm going to say how much they make.
Yes.
They make around $100,000 a year. They enjoy bourbon too much, and they don't work out. Any advice on what point money is worth living somewhere you physically don't want to live? Sounds like a good job. Doesn't like where he is.
And that amount of money, like your lifestyle with that amount of money, totally depends on where you live, right?
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
$100,000 in New York is like $40,000 in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I think. Do you know where you live?
I do, but I'm not going to say because he's shared a lot of personal information, so I'm not sharing names.
Is it close?
It's good. Let's say it's in a different state. It's not Oklahoma.
Okay. Is it similar to Oklahoma City lifestyle?
A little higher than Oklahoma.
Okay.
If Oklahoma's a 5 and New York's a 10, is he living what?
He's living in a 7.
Okay.
So he's in Dallas.
Okay. That's a great guess.
Okay.
No state income tax, though.
Yeah, that's true. So I think it would be
They
pretty.
make up for it everywhere else, but no state income tax.
Yeah. I don't know. 24, live your life. 24, you got plenty
20,
of time.
24. I didn't have a job.
Yeah,
I'm
Luke was
24.
homeless.
Were you living on the streets of Manhattan?
No, hell, at 24, I was just not. I just didn't have a job yet, and I was or in between jobs and looking for jobs and not doing it. So I had an income of 0. And I mean, you don't have to have anything together at 24
It's true.
at all.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to have it together by 34. You can figure it out. He's got a great base.
Yeah.
Of stuff
In this life,
in this economy.
54 don't even have.
That's
to have
true.
It.
That's true.
He's got a great base. And
I'd
if
say
you
get
want
it together by 64.
And if you want, really,
Yeah.
then with advances in modern medicine, 74 isn't crazy.
You might be pushing 84 to get it together.
Yeah. So he's got a great base, and the other thing is if you want to go to somewhere that's like has a higher cost of living,
Yeah.
they probably pay more. But the other thing, if you want to go to a place where there's a lower cost of living with what your skills and what you have right now, if you move there and there's a job there, they're going to want to pay more to get your experience there. So you're in a really good position, I think.
Depends on what industry.
It does depend, and he does not specify. And I did not look into it.
Yeah.
So I have some opinions on this, guys.
Lay it on me.
So number one, full disclosure, didn't listen to anything you said.
Okay,
That's good. Thank you.
He's about to say you have until 74 to get your life together.
Yeah, sorry. Just for clarity, with advances in modern medicine. No, so I think you need to, if you're going to take risks, if you're going to be mobile, do it now.
Mhm.
And because as life progresses, you get married, you have kids, you're going to be far more dependent upon community, family, all of those things that are a part of your life. And so for us to if I was 24 and I was making a good salary and walking through a lot of that, I would be looking at where do I want to put roots down? Where do I want to,
Yeah.
like what does my future look like?
Yeah.
And at the same time, like Luke, I still applaud the fact that you went to Miami, Manhattan, and put the work in to see if you could do something different than where your life ended up.
That's true.
Do it when you're young,
Yeah.
because those opportunities change as you age.
It's a good time to take risks,
Yeah.
especially if you don't have
Oh yeah.
a ton of responsibility.
Especially if you're under
on your
25
plate.
and you're still on your parents' insurance.
Well, 20.
Then you can go live on the streets and
Do whatever
just
you want.
Go get medical help.
At 24, you can do anything. You can mess up as many times as you
Yeah.
want. You can rebound.
Just don't ever be on social media.
You got time. Yeah.
That's
you got-
what follows you now.
You do have a lot of time. But yeah,
And that's always my encouragement. If you're young and you're feeling that itch, like I need to do something, do it now,
yeah.
because you will not do it when you're 34, 35.
Yeah. Yeah.
More than likely.
Yeah. If you want to make a career shift, like shift away.
Do it now.
You got plenty.
Give it a go. Give it a go.
Give it a go. All right. We're going to take a quick break. After that, we're going to do some Twitter questions. And we're back. After that quick break, it's time for some Twitter questions.
Twitter questions.
You got questions and you ask them on Twitter. Now we answer them for you. This is Twitter questions. Now let's get down to it.
Our first Twitter question comes from @Alex_BowlerJack, who says it's grilling season.
Bowler Jack.
What are your preferred toppings for a hamburger and hot dog?
A hot dog. I like a ketchup. If I'm just going basic, I'll just go ketchup. But I'd go chili dog, cheese, ketchup.
Hot dogs
if
where
I have
I-
all my toppings.
See,
available.
My hamburger, it's pretty plain. I go cheese.
Yeah.
I go onions and some ketchup. That's about it.
Oh, you going a full Wendy'sburg?
That's about it.
You doing raw onions?
I'll just put some. If I got some onions, I'll put some onions on there.
So
I don't
mess with that.
hate when it comes to onions. Not a lot, but some. And then,
Yeah.
but hot dogs, I'll put some. If there's some chili on it, I'll put some chili on it.
Yeah, chili.
But if not, I like to put some what is this? The little like sour cream? Put some
Sour cream.
Sour cream on there?
That is.
I don't think that's what you're talking
Sour
about.
cream.
Psycho
on
behind
Chili on chili
yes.
dogs?
No, not on the chili
Just
dog. On the hot dog.
sour cream.
Sour cream, Ruffles chips, cheese, shredded cheese.
What?
It's like a coney from store.
Sour cream?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm having a dream right now.
No, there's some sour cream.
Have
on
you
it.
put sour cream on your hot dog ever, Jay?
cream
Absolutely not.
Cream up that weenie.
Oh my gosh.
It's good.
What in the world? I have never. Let us know if you've heard of that in the chat on Twitter.
It's like this sour cream.
If you have my
it's like
phone
this
number,
Brahms-
text me.
It's like this Brahms sour cream that like is also mixed with some other stuff.
What does that mean?
There's some
Luke,
mix in it.
I think you've put yourself out there and you realize you've
No,
never
I'm
actually done
sticking.
this.
What is that?
I had
What do you
one
mean?
last. I had two last weekend.
You had
I
a
did
sour
just
cream
like
dog.
this.
Sour cream
Yeah.
dog.
Are you talking about like a French onion or jalapeno dip?
Oh, like a French onion.
Is that what you're talking about?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
I'll put that on it. But it's sour cream's in there.
That's still a little strange, but way less than just like a dollop of sour cream on it.
I'll put on there. But the French onion is more what it is. I would think. But it's still good.
You're already backing away from
But I'll
this.
put a lot of stuff on the hot dog.
Okay.
The
So
hot dog is where I go
at my
crazy.
house in my neighborhood. This is a we are walking through this very much
Yeah.
because cooking a lot of hot dogs, cooking like a lot of burgers.
Oh,
Okay,
burgers.
so let me go through burgers first.
You
Okay,
smash- You smash burger.
I am a smash burger man. I've got a griddle at my house, and I've learned how to do smash burgers. In my opinion, it's the best style of burger there is.
Luke and I would love to be invited over to have
Come
some.
on over, guys, this afternoon.
I'm gonna show up. But he's
Smash burgers.
not gonna have
but
a burger.
the key
ready.
for me is I grill some onions, I grill some mushrooms, I grill some bacon, put all that together into a delicious onion mushroom smash burger.
That sounds good.
Fantastic with bacon.
Hold the mushrooms, but
So is
sounds
the burger really flat?
Yes.
It's a super flat burger.
Yep.
good. Has
So
the
you can
crispy
put-
ends?
So
Yeah.
then you can put more.
It's crispy.
So then,
You-
you
no,
can put
but
more toppings on.
You
the
could do
burger.
that, but the real way to do it is you do
I was gonna say double it up.
2 burgers.
Double it up.
So,
Okay.
You got big buns?
and I cannot lie. Yes. Yeah, I mean, just decent sized buns because they're actually like a quarter pound, right? So you just smush them down
Yeah.
and they end up, I mean, it's never too much.
Okay.
And then hot dogs. This is the big debate in my neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of relish fans.
Really?
Not a relish guy.
A lot of relish fan.
I just got a
among-
text from Alex Bullerjack, who is listening right now, who's asking this question and says that L-Man is a monster.
Put anything you want on that hot dog, man. Don't
The-
let people judge you for your hot dog and stuff.
The neighborhood children,
Uh-huh.
big relish fans.
Really?
Really?
You got some weird kids.
My son, big relish fan.
Really? You got some weird kids on your street?
But he loves pickles. So apparently relish is just diced up pickles.
You know what
I've
I've
never
kind
had
of-
relish. In
you
my
know what
life.
I'm
just-
not a relish guy.
You know
at
what
all.
I've just rediscovered? Mayonnaise. Zesty.
On a
Excuse
burger,
me?
yes, not on a hot dog.
You can on hot dog. Why not?
I mean,
It's zesty, it's
you
good.
Could put anything on a hot dog.
I'm just saying mayonnaise right now is really good. People are big into mayonnaise.
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 So here's hot dog go to.
Hold on, I have to leave because I'm got to go to work, but I miffed and prieved. My elevator didn't work this morning. I had to walk down 14 flights of stairs.
14 flights.
Yes. But I made it
That's too bad.
for you.
Man, that's
That's too
impressive.
bad.
Jay, I'll see you at your house.
You'd have been here way earlier if it wasn't for the
Jay, I'll see you at your
stairs.
house.
Smash burger.
Yeah, dude, I'll go grab some sour cream. You psycho.
That's straight up gross.
So the kids these days,
Yeah.
a lot of shredded cheese
Okay.
on hot dogs.
I could see that. I could see that.
I
Shredded cheese and relish? That seems
and ketchup.
I don't know about this.
Give it a shot.
I won't.
I do.
Do you give it a shot?
No,
Okay.
I'm a simple man. I do like a little shredded cheese on a hot dog, but I'll
Yeah, I
do.
will.
Honestly, if I go to Costco, you give me or Sam's,
Yeah.
give me ketchup,
Give me ketchup.
give me mustard,
Yeah.
send me on my way.
Yeah, I'll just need ketchup.
But I will do a chili
Sometimes-
dog. I'll do
sometimes
a
I'll
cheese
sprinkle-
dog.
Sometimes
I'll
I'll
do...
sprinkle some of the hot pepper flakes on there on my hot dog.
Ooh, that's pretty good. That's
Yeah.
pretty smart. I did. I smoked some queso this weekend for Memorial
Ooh, Jay.
Day. I know it was pretty
That
good.
sounds really
And
good.
so what I actually was doing, this is maybe this is where I get a little dangerous. Is
Yeah.
I took a hot dog,
Mhm.
queso right in the middle.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
That's a really good idea.
That's it. I didn't know if
That's-
it's like sour cream. but-
No, it's not like sour cream at all. Now that Luke's gone, we can talk about how disgusting it is.
He 100% does not put sour cream on his hot dogs.
He
started backing out
He
quickly.
started saying it was a mix.
No, wait. French onion dip. That's what it was. Oh, okay. Well, it's a little bit different. Still a little bit crazy.
I mean, I'm not dipping my like chip in sour cream, so it's like so different. They're
Yeah.
completely different things. I just think he couldn't think of the word.
No, he couldn't.
Let's answer a few draft
Dude, knock
questions.
through it. Yes. I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
And some of this may come up. And so let's ask the questions. And if they don't answer it, I'll come back to you.
Okay. At Top Gahmer 77, who's your favorite prospect at the draft outside of Wimby, Scoot, and Brandon Miller? Do you have a favorite?
No. After those guys, not really. I mean, I think that I actually talk about somebody I've just listened to the hype more than I've actually ever watched his tape at all is Amin Thompson. Either one of the Thompson brothers. And part of that is because of how inaccessible whatever terrible team they played for, Overtime Elite or whatever.
Yeah.
So I can't speak with anything toward those guys. I think you've been preaching this for a while. And I think that the more and more I've looked at different players, I think once you get to 5 through 15,
Yeah.
maybe not quite 15, they're relatively fluid in the sense of you see each one. None of those guys you're like, you've got it. It's the total conflict. Like who's out there that the Thunder, unless you have a specialty guy like Grady Dick that you want to jump up and get,
Mm-hmm.
or even a Jarris Walker,
Mm-hmm.
which I know has kind of been a trending. If the Thunder try to trade up, that's who they would get.
Yeah.
I do like Jarris Walker. I watched a little bit of his tape yesterday. I watched some YouTube clips yesterday, and
Put some reels up.
I love his footwork on defense is really special.
Yeah.
And but then I hear you guys talk about his offensive game and watch some of that too, where to be as big and as physically imposing as he could be in the college level and to settle for floaters is problematic to me. Grady Dick, I think for me, if I was going to draft somebody that I think would be the right guy for what I think this Thunder team lacks, I would love to add him to this team.
Yeah.
That would be my guy probably above all. But then I watch Kaysen Wallace and I'm like,
Kaysen's good.
oh my gosh.
Kaysen's good.
He also
player.
looks like a grown man.
He's beefed up for sure.
I mean, so that's why I'm like, there's going to be guys all over the place. Bufkin, I didn't do enough work on him, and I'm not going to deep dive on all these guys. I just don't have the margin or the will to follow through and do that.
Yeah.
Leonard Miller, the only reason I'm excited about him is because of what I've heard other people talk about. When
Mhm.
Sam mentioned him, I think he was on the podcast. It was the Slam and Jam.
Yep.
And when Vecini was talking about Leonard Miller and some of the ways he's learning and developing and all those different things, he sounded very thundery.
Yeah. There's definitely thundery qualities about him that didn't necessarily convey on the court, which still makes me question it, whether or not the Thunder would really be that interested in him. So personality wise, apparently he's great. Never spoken to him. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I really if I were to pick like a couple prospects that I really like outside of those top 3, it's probably
Anthony Black.
Anthony Black and Jarris Walker are probably like the 2 guys that I think fit the way the Thunder want to play the best.
I just don't think they have. And this is why I probably have not bought in on Anthony Black, is because I just think that there's too many other teams in the top 8 that would want him. And he is.
Yeah.
Early on, he was rising up draft boards where I even saw him as high as 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe sliding a little bit now, but still top 8.
I think he's like the best thinker of the game outside of
he's
the
big.
top 3. He's like 6'6", 6'7". He can really defend. He can get downhill.
Incredible hair.
Great hair. I like him a lot. He's not a clean fit with the Thunder, but it's my belief that if you're drafting in the lottery, you're in the lottery for a reason. It's
You're still
because
taking best.
you're not that great, and so take best player available and
Ben
figure it
Pfeiffer
out.
kind of disagreed with you a little bit on that take. And I can't remember the context specifically, if you're later in the lottery or if you're at this point where you have, and I do agree with him in this, like between J-Dub, Giddey, Chet, Shea, is you're not looking for, I think you're okay. I would say on a personal level, my draft philosophy, I'd be okay looking for fit. That's why I do resonate with a Grady Dick or a Jarris Walker.
Yeah, I mean Walker can do some of the passing stuff, and
Can he stretch the floor?
I mean not now. No one's going to guard him if he's out at the 3-point line. I think he'll take threes, which is good. I think Anthony Black will take threes. I think both those guys will take threes. It's
How
just
different is Jarris Walker from J. Will?
a lot different as a defender, like way different.
Just elite
Way
comparatively.
Yeah, moves his feet so much better. He can switch. He's stronger than Jay Will is. But like possesses like some of the same like passing chops and stuff like that.
I stopped you
Will
before
does.
you said yourself. Oh, you said Jarris Walker. Okay.
Yeah. So, but I like Walker. I think he'd be great. He's also super duper strong. He's somebody that you can invert the roles of he and Chet so much. Whereas, that's where you can provide value for the Thunder is that like he can play creatively. He can create some, and he's a good passer. And if Chet can stretch the floor, it's not as big of a deal if you have this other big that doesn't. Because he can also handle like the stronger guys.
So much of it though is if Giddey can develop a consistent 3-point shot.
Yeah, it's going to be
They've got to learn. They got to space, and that's
Yeah.
what's so. I think there's like a basketball organizational wound of the lack of shooting this team has had in its entire existence.
Yeah.
Outside of the main guys, so I'm like, that's why these elite guys. Like I actually really like Jordan Hawkins.
Yeah. He can really shoot, and he moves around like a madman.
Feels like 12's too early, but I don't know.
Yeah. He's also just a specialist. And so are you going to draft a specialist at 12? I think is a question.
Trade all 4 of your 2024 picks and get Jordan Hawkins and Jarris Walker and call it a day.
I mean, that wouldn't be too terrible. I just wonder how different Hawkins and Joe are at the pro level.
Can you get too many of those guys?
I'm not saying you can, but I just wonder if the Thunder just think value-wise, can we find those guys elsewhere?
You know the guy
in the lottery.
The guy I know the least about, Taylor Hendricks.
Yeah. I mean,
I know of him.
Shot blocker, good shooter from the outside, not a decision maker with the basketball, not particularly great when he's not involved in the actions on offense, which are the reasons why I worry about him as a Thunder guy. But like possesses like elite shot blocking skills and potentially elite shooting skills.
Anybody mocking in the top 10 that you just don't see it
with the Thunder?
Well, and just in general.
Guys, I mean, for the Thunder, I just don't really see Whitmore as a guy. I don't see him in Thompson. I mean, he's even like a level below where Anthony Black is as a shooter. I would have a hard time.
What about Keontae George?
I think Keontae George is not a lottery level talent.
Okay.
I think he's a scorer off the bench. People talk about like Bufkin being like a direct replacement for Trey Mann. I think that Keontae is way more of that. I think Bufkin can play more than one position and can do a lot of things for you and could even play on the court with Trey, where I just don't really see that with Keontae. I worry about Cam and I worry about Amen, and I know Grady Dick would work here.
He's also from Wichita, man.
I know.
It's like 2 hours from here.
I mean, when you talk about him, 6'7", lights out shooter, can relocate, can do a lot of things, is competitive. Like, yes, give me all of that. But I just wonder if he does enough of the other things.
Yeah.
Really,
and that's a philosophy thing. And I think your take, like if I was going to evaluate draft conversations over the course of the last month, I think that your understanding of the Thunder's draft philosophy is informed by conversations, by just what you've seen, the way they're organizing this team and all those things. I do wonder, like just as kind of a devil's advocate in that, is that every single player that they're trying to add, or is it, hey, we're going to draft this particular style
Yeah.
until we get to the place where we're ready to more
Yeah.
fully form this team. That's been my question every time you've talked about this,
It's a
where
good-
it's like
It's a good
there's a
question.
Thunder. It's clear Thunder are looking for specific kind of guys,
Mhm.
and I just wonder, is that going to be indefinitely, or is it at some point like, hey, we have enough of those guys that do, or
Mhm.
do you add those more specialist guys through other means, trades,
Yeah.
not really free agency for the Thunder necessarily, but can you get those pieces in other avenues and then just continue to draft these kind of hybrid, lengthy, intelligent
Yeah.
guys?
That's the thing with the roster they built, is that honestly, everybody that's in the top 15 could fit with this team
Right.
because of the guys they have.
Right.
So it's not hard to imagine any of them playing with and competing with this group. And so the answer is, like, I just don't know.
Yeah.
They may say, hey, we need to draft an elite play finisher. Like, that's what we need. Above everything else, we have playmakers all over the court. We need to draft an elite play finisher. That's why we need to take Taylor Hendricks and find
Or
a way
Cam
to get
Whitmore.
him, or Cam Whitmore, or Grady Dick. At all costs, we need to get one of those three, because what we need now above everything else is a play finisher. And I could see that. I would be surprised if they did that, but I do think that it's not impossible. I do think that they would probably rather go playmaker again, because I don't think this team is going to be built conventionally,
Yeah.
and I don't think they want to be a conventional team. And so
I think that, I think you're absolutely right. And it's the thing that we talked about this earlier in the podcast, is the evolution in Sam's roster building is the reality that he's not being reactive to the way of the NBA, but he's actually trying to be kind of more trend setting.
yeah,
Or if you remember the Kendrick Perkins edition, that was
Yeah.
directly reactive to, and he may have to do that at some point
yeah,
if there's continuously this, wall that they can't get through. But Kendrick
Yeah.
Perkins was at it because at that time, Andrew Bynum and Pau Gasol were
yeah.
the
It was
team, and
the
they were big.
Grizzlies, and
Yep.
it was the Nuggets,
So
and
you
it was the Spurs.
needed
and-
a big dude.
out
and
west.
so-
You had to have somebody big.
I do wonder if Sam is saying, instead of trying to tailor make this roster to fit the NBA as currently constructed, what if we are the team that makes other people shift the way they have to construct their teams?
Yeah, I think you would love to be able to be that.
Yeah.
And I think that they're going to have a chance, because they're going to be super weird, even starting with next
So
year.
weird.
They're going to be a really
I
intriguing
cannot
team.
wait.
They're going to be one of the top league pass teams next year, with just
Man.
this group, not even counting what they do at the draft. If it was just this group, this would be like top 5 league pass team for almost everybody. And they're going to have options in this draft, just because I'm not sure that every team loves this draft. And I don't know who the Thunder like. I don't think anybody knows. I know that Bilal Coulibaly is somebody that has apparently been promised in the lottery. Whether that's a Thunder promise or not, I don't know. I think everybody always assumes that because if there is a promise, people always land that with the Thunder. That's not necessarily true. It's also not necessarily not true. I don't know.
And that's Jonathan Wasserman's the one that first floated that, right?
Yeah, and also this is just also the time of year
The smoke screen.
where everybody lies.
Yeah.
Everybody's lying. Everybody wants everybody to feel uneasy about what the other teams are going to do and how they're going to do it. So this is just the time of year where I just don't believe. A few years ago, we were talking about James Bouknight and felt certain that
Up
was
until
going to
the
be,
day of.
thought that was going to be the guy for the
day
Thunder.
of.
And
What draft was that? Giddy?
that was the Giddey draft.
Good Lord.
We just don't know.
Can
we
you
just,
imagine
we just don't know. We just don't know.
how awful we would feel if? No, I don't know, man. I feel bad because Bouknight could be a totally different player
Nope.
on this team.
Nope.
I just the Hornets, man. But
The Hornets apparently just hated him from the moment he walked in the door.
yeah, but I'm like, can you imagine how absolutely awful we'd feel if we'd have drafted Bouknight instead of Giddey,
Feel like drafting Emmanuel Mudiay.
instead of
And
Devin
you're just
Booker,
like, gosh, what have we done?
or getting Trey Lyles instead of Donovan Mitchell?
Yes.
You're making me now hate the Nuggets. Like,
Why?
y'all don't deserve this. You
They
so
made too many mistakes.
haphazardly built this roster.
You can make mistakes. generational players cover a multitude of sins.
Man, that's what Jokic is.
Yeah.
All right, keep going. Sorry.
All right. Let's go. Are you miffed and are you beefed?
Miffed and peeved.
You know, I always try to think about this leading up to these podcasts, and it's
Yep.
always hard because I'm a naturally forgetful person and a pretty optimistic guy by nature. And so mine is always situationally stupid. Like Monday was Memorial Day. It
Yeah.
was supposed to be an all day, be outside pool day, cooking,
Yeah.
and it just was overcast and raining.
It was not great.
all day.
Yeah. It's true.
That was a pretty big bummer. I was miffed and peeved about that. But
Yeah.
anyway, but that's so lame. I didn't cut my lip off or my nose off with a razor, and I didn't have to walk down a set of stairs.
I'm miffed yesterday. So my kids really love Legos, and they particularly love the Lego series Ninjago. Yesterday was the release of season 17 of Ninjago. And with that comes an entire new, like 16 new sets or whatever.
Yeah, Lego, man.
And
They have figured it out.
June 1st dropped. Everybody, my kids are all pumped up. We've been talking about it for weeks. They watched like several of the episodes on Netflix. They're all pumped up. We're like, we load up in the car to go to the Lego store. My son saved up a ton of money to buy, one of these big Lego sets.
Are they watching these Lego sets on YouTube?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's what my son does all the time.
And so we get to the Lego store. They have all of the sets there. They're all so pumped up. They all go grab them. And the lady at the front's like, hey, listen, these Lego sets are not put into our system. And so you can't buy them. And they're holding them. But like, we just can't check you out. But we can put them on hold for you in the back until they get put in the system. And then we're like, okay, so like, how long are we going to, like, are we talking here? Like, is this going to be like an hour or something? So we stayed at the mall for a couple hours, just like walking around, bebopping. They played in the Lego store for a while and like, still just like nothing. Like they're like scanning them like, yeah, they're not in the system. But like, you can physically hold the boxes. We could have just like taken them and just ran out. Like, what are you going to do? They're not in your system, Anyway, super miffed.
How long did it take?
We still haven't gotten word that they're in the system yet. So like, we have all these Lego sets like on hold in the Lego store sitting there, but somebody's getting fired at Lego for sure.
Because if you're not in Oklahoma City, the Lego stores in Penn Square Mall, which is, I mean, it's not a convenient drive from your house.
I mean, it's like 20 minutes ish.
And then you have to get to the mall, park, walk through.
Yes. I mean, it's
not like I'll just jump over there and grab it anytime. Like you have to set
it's not
the
Quail
time.
Springs.
You have to set the
It's not
time
Quail
apart
Springs.
in the day to go do it.
Yeah. It was pretty frustrating. And my kid and then you have to deal with like the disappointment of like this like preteen angsty.
Let
kid.
alone the fact that like you had at least a couple hours of them just being solidly entertained by something.
And then yes, exactly. Because it was going to be like, hey, we're going to go home.
You're
We're
gonna
gonna
build these
You're going to
things.
build your Lego sets while we watch the NBA finals. It's gonna
Yep.
be beautiful. My 4-year-old's like throwing himself on the ground, like just like, no, I want, it's just, this is just a disaster made by some moron at Lego who forgot to put the Ninjago sets into the system. And I guess it's in all of North America, not just like the Lego store.
Which I'm just like,
here
couldn't
in
you?
OKC.
I mean, can you not just like? I guess there is a reason. I understand that, but just like you can see at the price.
Oh, trust me,
Type the number in.
I talked them through several scenarios that made sense in my brain of what they could
Hey,
do
listen,
so
I
that
don't
I
know
could buy
anything
these.
about your store,
Yeah.
what you do, but you can just type that. We can actually just give you the cash.
It's like, can I just buy it online and then show you that I bought it and you just hand it to me? Like, could you do that?
Man, if you're not into Legos, you are missing out on like it is a whole phenomenon where they have dates where
crazy.
they're releasing like my son's birthday's in August, and so
Yeah.
he's like got all of the ones he wants to try to get. He'll be 14.
Yeah. Oh,
Still all in on Legos.
there's people of all ages walking into that
Well,
store
the
buying stuff.
L-Man's
L-Man's
almost 40.
into, yeah, I know. Almost 40. L-Man. Oh no. Thanks so much for listening to our show. We'll have more draft content coming at you guys next week. Hope you guys enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you guys again on Monday.